It's day 7 of Oscar Pistorius' trial in the North Gauteng High Court, and we're joined by our special correspondent Sipho Hlongwane, who's going to play catch-up with us, tell us what's happened on the first half of today. Thanks for joining us, Sipho.
Thanks for having me.
So the day started off with Gert Simon taking to the stand. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so he basically finished off the testimony that he was giving yesterday. You'll remember that he requested that none of it be broadcasted either on audio or on television live. And as we said yesterday, initially the ban included blogging and Twitter. This morning, the judge allowed live tweeting to happen, and she allowed that packages of the inoffensive parts of the testimony to be discussed and to be broadcast on television. So he was basically wrapping up that part of his testimony. And I think the really important things that came out today, or was something that also came out yesterday towards the end of the day, was the fact that it seems like River Steenkamp ate something, but sort of between the hours of 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning. That creates problems or raises questions about Oscar Pistorius' testimony, because according to him, they went to bed at 10 o'clock and they did not seem to wake up until at 3.
Now, yesterday, while Professor Simon gave his testimony, Oscar Pistorius was physically ill and just really couldn't keep it together. What was he like this morning?
I think he was much better. I don't know how they've managed to help him, although I suppose it helped him to know that the Simon's testimony was kind of rolling to an end. But I think he was, he was much calmer. He was able to handle it better. And you know what? When Oscar Pistorius can handle it much better, it just makes it easier and quicker for everybody else. So we kind of got through it in a short amount of time today. It wasn't that horrible delaying kind of effect that he had on the court.
So after Professor Simon, Darren Fresco took to the stand, and he was warned by the court that he could give evidence that may incriminate him. Can you just explain that to us?
Yes, well, as we have known from other witnesses that have testified, such as Oscar's former girlfriend, we know that Darren Fresco has been involved in at least 2 gun-related incidents. And now in both incidents, the implication seemed to be that Fresco himself was somehow involved in the criminality that surrounds the handling of the weapon. You remember first there was the incident with the car when they're driving back from the Val and they're stopped by the police, and then there was the incident at the Tasha's restaurant. And in both cases it seemed either that Fresco was encouraging Oscar to act in a reckless way, or the gun was actually his. So when he comes to court and gives his testimony, he's describing incidents where he himself would be breaking the law. Now, our court sometimes weighs up the benefits of having such a witness versus, the cost, let's say, of having such a person not then face charges for their own case. And in such a case, they obviously want Pistorius. They're not interested in Fresco. So they say to him, come to court. You're going to be a 204 witness, which means that as long as you tell the truth and as long as you're not difficult in court, then you will not be prosecuted for any evidence that you bring forward, and you have to absolutely tell the truth. And so he described what we already know, the gun going off in the Tasha's restaurant after Pistorius gave it to him, Pistorius shooting through the sunroof. There are minor differences between Fresco's testimony and Samantha Taylor's testimony and the owners of the restaurant. And in each case, you get the sense that this guy is trying to protect himself as much as possible, even though he is a 204 witness and he already is enjoying the court's protection. But I think a certain picture is emerging, like I've been saying since the trial started, a certain picture is emerging of Pistorius and his friends. And these are people who like fast cars, big guns, they like the hot blonde women, if you like. And that was their lifestyle that they engaged in. And it seemed to be about recklessness. It seems to be about macho posturing. These guys get stopped by the police. And he starts an argument because the police touched and emptied his gun. Why did he have an unsafe gun in the car in the first place? And so whether the state is going to try and prove character flaws and therefore have premeditated murder, therefore prove premeditated murder that way, or whether the picture that they're trying to create of Oscar explains other parts of the Valentine's Day morning, we're not sure yet. But we're definitely getting a picture of a not very nice human being. He's not the golden boy that we believed he was before he shot his girlfriend.
Absolutely, Sipo. In fact, they were pulled over for driving 260 kilometers an hour on the way back from the Vaal. And of course, it wasn't Oscar Pistorius driving, it was Fresco. But it paints a picture of the type of lifestyle that Pistorius was leading, doesn't it?
It does indeed. And the more that this trial continues, the more people are starting to emerge and say, I saw Pistorius at this place or at the next place. I've had people tweeting me this morning saying that they've literally watched him break the law in his cars. If he would have had sponsors' cars and they would have had his name on the car, and you jump through red lights, and it just seemed to be that kind of a person. But again, it doesn't mean that therefore the defense is going to have to, they're going to struggle with protecting his character, if you like. The defense could still argue that all of what's happening with the gun charges, the state is trying to taint him, if you like, and they can try and argue against it. So even though we're getting a not lacquer picture of who Pistorius is, does not mean that he's in jail already.
Sipo Hlongwane, always a pleasure to chat to you, and we'll speak to you again very soon.
Thank you.